Joining me now with reaction, New York Congressman Lee Zeldin and Fox News contributor Tammy Bruce. Thank you both for joining me. Tammy, of all the ways to describe a very unique horror in the history of our country, up there with Pearl Harbor, a mass murder on our soil, the imagery is still fresh in the minds of many. I mean, is there a more insensitive way to describe it than she did? And at what point do you just acknowledge it was horrendously worded and move on?
Well, it is an attempt to completely erase the reality of what occurred. It is to diminish it. What it did is it shocked her comments, shocked the conscience of everyone, for the most part, right? It was a shocking statement. It is unconscionable. And for me, and I want women in power, but what that requires is taking responsibility, owning your positions, owning what you say, as opposed to deflecting and then blaming other people. That is what children do. And I fight against all the time, as we all do, the efforts to infantilize women, especially women of color. And Representative Omar, in this process, seems to be infantilizing herself. This refusal to take responsibility, to, in fact, demand that other Democrats take this approach. In her dismissal of that, that speaks to her belief, and I think we should take her seriously, absolutely. And she should take seriously that she has shocked the conscience of this nation and of everyone in the Western world who knows what that attack was and what it has led to. So this is her responsibility, and of course, in the process, the Democrats have to deal with what this means as well, and they're going to have to decide who they've become, and Americans, and certainly the Democratic Party base, is going to have to decide if this represents them and if it's appropriate and if they accept it.
Congressman, I'm stunned because the lesson of the midterm elections, I thought, for the Democrats, if they were being reasonable, was that moderate candidates, the Connor Lamb types, performed rather well in swingy-type districts. Do they really want to run in the House of Representatives on re-election on Ilhan Omar's comments? And, Congressman, as you well know, the Congresswoman has a history of making, in some cases, openly anti-Semitic comments and just refusing to back down. This cannot possibly be of any political advantage to the Democrats in these upcoming elections.
Yeah, but instead of Speaker Pelosi leading the radical left, she's being led by it. If she knows better, if she wants to stay as Speaker, she wouldn't be elevating, empowering, embracing the anti-Semitism, the pro-BDS, the anti-Israel hate of Ilhan Omar by putting her on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I mean, this is someone who at once requested leniency for ISIS fighters. She blamed U.S. foreign policy for the al-Shabaab attack in Kenya. She props up Maduro in Venezuela. So as we're talking about the latest comments that were made this week. By the way, every single day this week there were new comments. This is just another week. I mean, it started off with just another Monday. So what happened this morning from Ilhan Omar, you could call the mother of all false equivalencies, trying to tie in President Bush's speech that he gave with all those firefighters in Ground Zero.
That was disgusting.
So yeah. they need to be held accountable for it. And by the way, Rashida Tlaib, you play a clip from her. Remember what she said on opening day when this Congress started, when she said, impeach the, I'm not going to repeat it on air.
Yeah.
And Hank Johnson in her ranks, comparing the president to Hitler. So she needs to police her own. She's going to be held accountable. And hopefully, for sake of our country, she's not Speaker come January of 2021.
Well, and let's remember also, there's a videotape, and this is not even about disagreements really on policy. It's very bizarre at this point that should concern all of us, including a videotape of her mocking the American reaction to the names of al-Qaeda and Hamas. And this
at one point laughing about it.
Yeah, and laughing about it. This is very, very strange. I mean, we can agree to disagree on tactics and how we reach our policy positions. Sure. But Representative Ocasio-Cortez also then defending when there clearly is a very disturbing aspect to this. And I think especially for the districts that they represent, those people in those districts deserve genuine representation that is serious. And these women should be answerable to those constituencies. And I'm hoping that those individuals there, that they should have alternatives to be able to vote for somebody else. And remember, with Connor Lamb, he did not have a primary opponent during the midterm. That is why he was able, I think, to move through. When you've got individuals who have opponents, then I think some of the truth of what they represent eventually comes out.
Congressman, this new "you're inciting violence" line where Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez jumped to the defense along with Rashida Tlaib is becoming kind of the new "you're a racist," where the Democrats don't really mean it. It's just meant to suppress speech and shut down conversation. I find this really objectionable, that when we make substantive comments about ridiculous absurdities like what Ilhan Omar said, they jump down our throats saying we're inciting violence, while the left is actually engaging in some cases in violence on college campuses and other things, and saying nothing in many cases.
Right, Dan, and where we make no reference to race, religion, or gender, they will call us racist, sexist, and Islamophobic. What we have a problem with are the double standards and the moral equivalency. The fact that if Ilhan Omar was a Republican, we would have passed a resolution naming names. She'd be booted from the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and that resolution would have been focused on anti-Semitism. The double standards, the moral equivalency, you need to hold the leadership accountable. Listen, Dan, if I wanted to raise everyone's taxes, the House Republican Steering Committee wouldn't put me on the Ways and Means Committee. If I wanted to undercut the United States military, if I wanted to handcuff our generals, the House Republican Steering Committee wouldn't point me on the House Armed Services Committee. So hold Ilhan Omar accountable, but also the people who are elevating and promoting it.
All right, I got to run. Thanks, Congressman. Tammy, thanks a lot. Great comments as always. Michael.